Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Chat with Ryan Frank. Trust everybody's doing well. If you're catching this on the podcast or YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're at, I want to thank you for joining me. Reminder that the number on the screen is a number that you can text if you have a question, if you have something you'd like for me to address, if you have a recommended guest that I bring onto the coffee chat, text 833-792-6372. We are joined today by Kevin White. We've had a good lineup of guests in the coffee chat this week, and we are not done. The week is still happening, and next week we're already lining up guests for next week. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful lineup. So thank you. We've been doing this now for, Andy, jump on here with me quick. When did we start the daily coffee chat? I know it was shortly nice
April.
Hat, like the hat. Yeah, good looking. Was it April?
Yeah, I believe it was April.
April.
The months just fly by these days.
They do. April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
I think we're in our fifth month of coffee chats.
Yeah, we sure are.
I feel like we could be.
How crazy is that?
And yeah, originally we thought, well, we'll do this for a few weeks while we're in this pandemic. And that pandemic doesn't seem to be going away. So we're just going to keep doing these coffee chats. Maybe we'll,
yeah, I mean, why not? It seems to be working. We seem to be getting a lot of people paying attention and putting out some good content. So
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Andy. So, hey, we're going to keep doing these coffee chats every day. You keep listening or watching, helping us spread the word. Kevin White's my guest today. Kevin, jump on here with me. Kevin and I first met probably 10 years ago. Kevin, how long have you been with Awana?
16 years.
16 years.
Yeah, been a while.
That's crazy. That's back when you were in junior high doing that internship.
Watch it, buddy.
Huh?
Watch it. Careful there.
Now, I need to know, do you shave the top of your head or are you losing it? Because I'm losing hair on the top of my head.
You know, Ryan, there comes a point where you just give up and you are losing it and therefore you decide to shave it. So it's kind of the deal. Yes.
Yeah, I like it.
I've got 3 daughters. They like to give me a hard time when, Dad, your hair's getting long and it looks weird. So it's just take good advice from the kids.
You just take it. You take it. One thing Kevin and I have in common is we both have 3 daughters. Now, Kevin, I've got a dog too, and my dog's even a girl. So you get being outnumbered.
Hands down. Yeah, for sure. No dogs here. We can't. Our kids all want one, and we are. I like my backyard as it is too much, but
Are you holding out till Christmas?
Till Christmas of 2040, brother.
2040. Write that. All right, let's write that down.
Yeah, follow up.
So Kevin, when you and I first met, you were leading the youth ministry of Awana.
Yeah.
And we've been able to be friends all these years, and I've enjoyed. I know we don't talk as much as we should, but we do keep in contact with each other. Yep. And you're still part of the ministry of Awana. Chief Operating Officer at Awana. Everybody's working remotely these days.
Indeed.
Your background is not like home office.
Yeah, you know, man, it's so just a couple of dots there. Yeah, I've been really privileged to serve at Awana for like I said, 16 years, a variety of roles from youth ministry way back when, and a whole bunch of stuff. And today, really a gift to serve as a COO. And the background here, it's a little funky, but back, as with so many of us, back in March, we all shifted to remote work, right? It's the pandemic and all that. And long story short, in a house of girls, I started out this work from home in a spare bedroom full of stuffed animals and Doc McStuffins looking over my shoulder. And when we realized this whole work from home thing was going to be a lot longer, I came down to the basement, shrunk our storage area, threw up some walls, and I feel like I'm at camp here just about every day with plywood and all that. But it's a nice little 45 square feet of my own world down here in the basement.
You know what? You do whatever it takes.
And between Zoom and calls and a little spot, we've been really fortunate in the midst of all this to keep our work going and do what we do.
Are you able to keep your productivity up working from home?
For me, yes. And we've been really honored and blessed. A lot of our team That's one of the big concerns is what's that going to look like when you make a transition like this. We have definitely seen our team rise to the occasion, and it's actually been a blessing for many folks who have said, "Hey, I'm an early morning person. The fact that I don't have to burn time in a commute and I can get work going right away." And between Zoom and email and chat and Slack, we're all still connected. And even a lot of our remote staff, we have quite a few staff that were remote anyway. They actually feel more connected to the ministry and the organization because it's a level playing field now. Everybody's remote, and so we're all on the same thing rather than some people in the office and some people remote. So yeah.
That's a good point. I think it's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, these ministries and companies, we build these big office buildings, and we have to hire people to manage the office. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out once this pandemic passes. Like, are offices overrated in office space, or can people work remotely and stay productive?
Totally.
What have you found have been a couple things that have helped you stay productive, like hacks or disciplines or whatever?
Good question. One of the things organizationally, we actually did this when we were in the office, is our whole team gathers together to pray at 9 a.m. every day.
Okay.
And when we went remote, it was like, well, darn, we're not gonna be able to walk across the building and gather, but we shifted it to Zoom. And so that's a connection where our staff, and some just can't make it because they've got other stuff going on in the morning or trying to get kids situated, but we're all on. And I think that's just a real trigger, because it's like, at the very least, that's a connection, that's a touch point with our team and with our people in that regard. But
that's smart.
The other, for me at least, is figure out your schedule. We've got a great rhythm happening in the morning here. Now it's different in summer, we don't have school going on and all that, but I get down here, get going in the morning, and we're off and running. And it does help to have a separate space to go, even though we don't kind of have a commute to transition to home life. It's like,
that's true.
Work is here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. At the end of the day, walk out, and it's like, by and large, try to leave work here and let home be home. Otherwise, everything's just real messy.
That's true. If you set up if you're set up on the dining room table or the kitchen bar or something. I mean, some of you might have figured out how to make that work, but I think if you can have a dedicated space, like you said, even a corner of your bedroom or somewhere, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin, you've got 3 girls at home. I've got 3 girls at home. Now you're in the Chicagoland area.
Yep.
Are kids going back to school? Or are the schools open?
Oh man, it's been quite a doozy. So interestingly, our 2 older kids, we homeschooled them last year, and it was a great experience for us. We loved it. Did a lot for our family time and dynamics and some of that stuff. So the transition that a lot of families were forced into back in March, when things just kind of shifted in an emergency sense, that was a tough transition for a lot of people. For us, we kind of walked through that transition of being home back last fall, in that adjustment. For us in our community, we had plans for our youngest this year to go into public school for kindergarten. That was the plan. But as with school districts all over, what started as going to be in person, and then it became, we're going to do a hybrid model. And then literally a week and a half ago, our school board met, and at least due to Illinois guidelines, they were realizing it's really hard to figure out how to do even any form of hybrid or in person. So they shifted to remote. And so it's just going to be all over the place. And we're seeing that. And I think the hardest part for boards, administrators, for teachers, for parents, it's the shifting sand nature of, all right, we finally get our arms around this. Oh, now it's going to change to that. And then this, and it's a tough deal. It's a tough. So our plan in our community for the first 9 weeks of school is going to be remote, and then hopefully hybrid, at least for some levels. But as you guys were talking there at the beginning, COVID weeks feel like dog weeks. They just last forever, and everything happens quickly. You don't even know what's happening anymore. So it's so hard telling what 9 weeks from now is going to look like.
It really is. How are you helping your girls? Let's talk about your kids, and then maybe we can shift a little bit, and how do we help the kids in our ministries and families in our church and so on. But how are you helping your girls kind of adapt to this?
Yeah, it's
normal.
Yeah. Try to make the best of it. I think there are a lot of kids that are really anxious in this season. And really worked up. And I think a lot of that comes because there's a lot of adults who are really anxious and worked up in this season. We've just tried to hold faith and hope, and realize this is a scary time with a lot of unknowns, no question about it. But just say we're going to get through it. We're gonna work our way through this together. And so try to maintain some degree of normal. Try to make the best of it. We try to have fun with the girls early on in this whole thing. We did an activity where we put a big old butcher paper on our dining room table, and every night we sat down for dinner and we said, hey, what's something we have to be thankful for right now? Because it's really easy in this season to get worked up on the scary.
Yep.
Said, all right, what do we have to be thankful for? And to see, Ryan, to see the stuff, we rolled it up a couple of months ago, but to look at how full that was of so much we had to be grateful for, if it's just extra time as a family, or some of our kids' best friends live a block away and they had some play dates together, socially distanced, and it's great. It's been outside. Like I had a 2x4 in the garage that's 6 feet long. I put it out there and said, our kids on this side, your kids on that side. And now we're a little bit more relaxed than we were then, but just try to have fun, try to shift to the positive, try to maintain some degree of normal in the midst of that. And again, right, I think this is hopefully the first and last pandemic in our lifetime or our kids' lifetime, but it's certainly not going to be the last crisis that our kids face. Something significant is going to happen in their lifetime again. And so how do we help them navigate this and keep their faith and keep their wits about them?
Yep. I like that you said that you doing stuff with your neighbors and stuff. And I think this is a challenge for us as parents, because and it ought to be a word of encouragement, as let's lean in on the community. We don't have to figure this all out ourselves. And I know that's kind of changed with some churches are meeting, some aren't meeting, some are, but we can't not going back for one reason or another. Kevin, remind me what your wife's name is.
Robin.
How are you and Robin? How do you feel like you're doing as far as connecting with other parents, staying connected with your church, with your small group, with other leaders? What's that look like for you guys right now?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? I mean, the season, call it March through May, June, where we all just felt done lockdown.
Yep.
We did some Zoom Friday night game night with friends over Zoom. That worked like twice. It's like, this isn't the same. This isn't working.
No.
And then again, fortunately, where we're at, the weather's decent. We were able to get outside, and we would do some things outside, or we got a 2-car garage, open the garage up, and you feel like you've got some airflow and space there. And
Yep.
So we just try to maintain some degree of connection and opportunity. Now our church shifted to remote. They're planning on going back to live services in September. But we've kind of made the commitment as a family right now. We're going to hold off for a little bit. And we're very anxious to get back in person with others. But at the same time, there's been some really sweet moments of family worship that we've been able to enjoy, and Sabbath we've been able to enjoy, and in engagement with other friends and family through a remote season. So even in that, trying to find that line of, how do we engage with others and get outside and have a game night, or do a back deck barbecue or whatever. And at the same time, long for something greater as we walk through this time together.
Yeah, I think so. All right, Kevin, let's wrap up. That's good. Wrap up. I've got one final question for you.
Good thing, man.
Ready for this?
Maybe.
Put you on the spot. So Kevin White works with the ministry of Awana. These are kids pastors that are watching, kids pastors that are listening today. Tell us 3 things that the children's ministry community might not know about Awana. Things you might not know about Awana.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're like me, we've had Awana at our church for 30 years. Maybe you grew up in Awana. We probably all have these conceptions of Awana. Tell us 3 things that we might not know about Awana. Putting you on the spot.
All right, no, that's good. I'd say the first, and this is one, it's certainly grown for us as a ministry in the last couple of decades, but Awana is an international ministry. A lot of people don't know that. Awana serves in 120 countries around the world. Any given week, there's about 5 million, in non-pandemic season, there's about 5 million kids that are engaged in Awana someplace around the world any given week. And so the kids the experience that your kids are having at your local church in Indiana, there's kids having in India and in 120 countries all around the world. So I'd say that's one that's pretty fascinating and a great connection point. Number 2 is we actually earlier this year, our team wrote and released a new book called Resilient. And the subtitle of that, the prospect of that is raising our kids to have a fearless future. What's the Fearless Future of the Church? And so much of the positioning of that book that Valerie, our CEO, and Matt, our president, COO, and a couple of others, it contributed to was this idea of what are we doing in our children's ministry day, and how is it impacting the church of 2050? So, right, like Ryan, in 2050, kids our age then, and going to be leading the church at that point in time. And so how are we preparing them for that? And I think in this pandemic, I think every company has had an ad campaign that has the word resilient in it and all that, because we've been resilient in the season.
Yeah, that's right.
Our book was out first, but
it was.
but that was kind of to my earlier point, right? Is to say our hope and our drive and our desire at Awana is not that we just have a great program, not that we have a great experience, not that our kids have fun in their game experience or their handbooks or whatever, but that we're really discipling and investing in these kids so that they can be firm and resilient disciples, resilient in their faith, not just in their circumstance and situation. So our hope and our drive and our desire is not just for programmatic work that Awana is so well known for, but that we're really driving a bigger faith conversation. And then lastly, I'd say number 3 related to that is earlier this year, we released a new weekend curriculum. Ryan, you've talked about this
quite a bit.
I appreciate you sharing the word, but Awana is not known for doing anything digital, and it's not known for doing anything for weekend space. We are known as the physical product midweek discipleship thing. And we've been working really hard for the last couple of years to drive towards a weekend ministry experience that's digitally delivered, to put in the hands of ministry leaders like the folks that you get a chance to talk to all the time, because it all comes down to discipleship. It's the gospel and discipleship. And we know, from a midweek perspective, that's a great place where discipleship can happen. But especially in pandemic conditions, or as we all re-regulate to a new normal in the future, is midweek happening or not? What's this going to look like? Well, weekend is, and we want to bring the great legacy and heritage and history of 70 years of awesome ministry to a space that's going to help leaders in what they're facing right now.
I love it. Man, those are boom. And I did not give you a heads up that I was going to ask you that question.
I appreciate it. I'm going to put you on the spot sometime.
You do. Just give me a heads up. Yeah. All right. I said that was my final question, but one more thing. So we've got a lot of kids, pastors, and ministry leaders that are watching or listening to this today. And I'm sure a lot of them use the ministry of Awana in their church. What would you say to someone out there that's like, man, we're bummed right now because of this pandemic. We're not doing Wednesday nights, or we're not doing Awana. We're bummed. What would you get? Just a word of encouragement to an Awana leader out there, or kids pastor, like, man, our parents are dying for Awana, but
guys,
encourage those folks.
Don't give up. Don't give up, right? Discipleship, it has to look different. I think our opportunity as ministry leaders is like, we love those kids. Many of us are crushed and sad because our ministries were plucked away from us back in March when things ground to a halt. But look at the creativity that happened there. Churches were doing drive-by ministry nights and gathering in parking lots and stuff like that. We can do ministry and discipleship. We have to. I think, none of us, as we talk about schools, none of us are having conversations saying, let's just take a year off of school. It'd be crazy. We wouldn't do that. Let's not do the same thing in the church. Let's figure out how to disciple. We can do it. We can lean in, get on Zoom calls, get on phone calls, send postcards. Our kids are pen pals with friends. I've burned through more stamps, Ryan, in the last 2 months than I think in the last 2 years. Get creative about it. Let's invest in the lives of these kids. And praise God for the church and children's ministry leaders that are there, because these kids need you guys. These kids need you to lean in.
You have churches, I'm curious, are there churches that are doing Awana virtually?
Yeah. There's a lot. We've done some online events where we've tried to gather and say there's a lot of different ways you can do this. Churches that are gathering smaller groups, kind of socially distant, or Zoom calls and virtual, kind of figuring it out. Because the kids need it. The kids need that place to be and connect.
They do. Friends, it's Kevin White. Kevin, you're a good man. You're a good friend. The last time we were face to face, we had breakfast at a really good place up there.
I was just looking back, Ryan. It was 2 years ago.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, you owe me another breakfast, brother.
Has it been 2 years? You really think it's been 2 years?
Yeah, we were texting the other day. I scrolled back up and I was like, man, it's 2 years. Time flies.
Where was that place that we went up there?
Savory in Bartlett, Illinois.
That's right. Yeah. Oh my word. All right, when are we going to do it again?
Let's do it. Come on up.
Tomorrow?
Sit outside. Put a mask on.
All right, Kevin, thanks for everything you're doing.
Likewise.
Friends, be sure to check out awana.org. Stay connected with the ministry of Awana. And also, I have talked a lot recently about the Bright curriculum. And the website for that is Bright, BRITE curriculum.
Yep.
.com. All right. Bright curriculum, BRITE, brightcurriculum.com. Kevin, thanks for joining me. You're a good man.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate you guys.
All right, love you. Thank you. Friends, it's Kevin White. We sure love our friends over at Awana. I hope that you've been encouraged today as you think about your kids at home, the kids in your ministry at home, or your kids in your ministry at their homes. We sure are thankful for everything that Awana is doing to make a difference for the kingdom. Awana.org, Bright, BRITE curriculum.com. Tomorrow on the Coffee Chat, we're going to be talking to Brittany Nelson. Brittany Nelson from Deeper Kidmen. Brittany is so creative, and I can't wait and bring such energy to a room in a Zoom call. We always have Brittany at MegaCon. Brittany contributes resources to kidsmatter.com. On Monday next week, we're going to have a conversation about Kidmen worship. Jeff McCall is going to be on the Coffee Chat with me. Yancey's going to be on the Coffee Chat with me. David Array from Doorpost Song is going to be on the Coffee Chat with me. Next week, we're going to have Heidi Hensley. Heidi is the children's pastor at Shadow Mountain Church out in San Diego land with Pastor David Jeremiah. We got a great lineup continued. So thank you for showing up. Thanks for listening to the podcast, catching this on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you catch the Daily Coffee Chat. Friends, keep making a difference. God bless. We will talk to you tomorrow at the same time on the Coffee Chat, but let's keep the conversation rolling today on Instagram, in Kids Matters, I Love Kidmen Facebook community. If you need anything, reach out to me, let me know. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.